It's no secret that today's property and casualty insurance marketplace is cyclical and highly competitive. But the secret to achieving high performance in this industry is often based more on a carrier's ability to adapt and anticipate changing market conditions rather than act as a fast follower. And finding the right core solutions is a huge part of the speed to market equation. With the need to deliver products and services to customers faster, offer an enhanced user experience, insurers are moving away from antiquated legacy systems in place of more configurable and scalable modern software solutions. Hello and welcome to InFlight, Accenture Duck Creek's podcast series created to inform and to share insights about today's property and casualty insurance marketplace and the software and solutions to help your business thrive, on-premise or in the cloud. My name is Adam Voss, and I'm the host of today's show, and I'm very, very thrilled to announce that today we have two software mavericks from Accenture Duck Creek here to talk about property and casualty software, Mr. Mike Jakowski and Matt Foster. Mike, Matt, welcome to InFlight. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Now, in my intro, I briefly touched on the importance of speed to market in terms of truly competing and succeeding in today's property and casualty insurance market. So, can you elaborate on this, specifically why legacy systems inhibit growth and why carriers are so hesitant to replace them?
Well, as you know, the property and casualty market is extremely competitive. And most consumers see that show up just in the explosion of advertising. You know, we see it show up just with a plethora of new entrants that come into the market and how many companies are launching into new and adjacent product lines. And it really shows up for carriers when they're trying to launch a new product and bring it to market for their customers. And what happens is their legacy systems serve as a huge impediment because much of the logic of their products is hard-coded in the systems. And it's kind of like cement shoes with them. And they can't chisel them out and retrench it and actually make the changes that they need to do, so it slows them down. And I think that's really where we're a differentiator with new technology, because we come in and we can apply new technology to make that a lot faster for them.
So how does your software suite differentiate? What do you bring to the table that the competition does not?
When you talk about legacy technology, we typically think of the core systems that run these insurance companies. And there are literally decades, 30 years oftentimes or more in these systems. So they're so institutional, and the entire business, the business process is built around the claims, the policy, the underwriting, the billing systems, and everything that flows downstream, everything that goes to report their financials, every interaction with the customer is governed by some of these experiences. So I don't think there's a reluctance or a lack of desire to change, but there's such complexity embedded, they often find it difficult to get started.
So off camera, you and I were talking about configurability and just how critical that is to your clients and to their customers. I mean, the scalability, the intuitive interface, the single place of change or single point of change, why are these so critical for carriers to consider when procuring a new system?
Picking up on the legacy theme, there's literally 30 years of embedded rules that are hard-coded into these systems. And they've served the carriers very well. They tend to perform and scale very well, but they inhibit change. So when we talk about the ability for Duck Creek to bring agility, configuration to the market, it's really to look at the business and understand what they need and implement that in a rapid fashion. It's not just taking an idea and then turning it over to IT for a project, but it's really to close that loop between business and IT, being able to envision it, model it, and implement it through change. We have a mantra. We talk about, we don't want to be your next legacy system. We really want to be your last system. And we're clearly proud of our technology, but we can't predict the future. We don't know what the industry will be 5 or 7 years from now,
Sure.
But we know it will be different. And we know we are going to enable carriers with a platform to be able to differentiate and change over the next several decades.
Right.
And I think one specific example of what Matt is talking about is just the documentation that carriers need to file and really to analyze their products. And our example is, typically in a legacy environment, the documentation is old and it's stale, and what's actually running in production, their legacy system, is not congruent with what the documentation says.
Sure.
Well, with Duck Creek, we actually derive and generate the documentation out of the system. So there's a single source of the truth. So what's running in production in the system equals the documentation that is used for filing. And that's an extraordinary advantage for a carrier if they're really trying to keep track of all of their products and the complexity of their insurance products.
We want to eliminate that conversation that we often get into when we talk about moving from where they are today to where they'll be tomorrow, and we have the business explaining how their systems and products work, and the IT guy steps slowly back from the desk and says, that's not exactly right. Because as Mike said, you literally can generate the documentation that defines the products, defines what the business is today.
It just seems like there's that typical bifurcation of the business and the technology and the issues that lie in the middle. So for instance, you guys, Accenture Duck Creek, you're property and casualty insurance industry experts who have developed cutting-edge, innovative technology and software. So what's the distinction? I mean, I think a lot of the competition out there are software manufacturers that create property and casualty software.
So I think when we look at the industry, it is very diverse. Whether you look at it from a regulatory perspective, and just in North America, 50 states of regulation, you look at it from a personal lines or a commercial lines or a specialty lines. Insuring a snowmobile is very different than insuring a series of oil rigs. But the technology needs to be able to service and meet all of that demand. I think when you look at Accenture Duck Creek, the history of how the company was founded, it goes back to Doug Roller running an agency and looking at how he can service his customers in a better way to the extent that he's writing his own code, and realized, hey, this is something good I can take other places. So it always started with that in mind. And I think we have several people that came from a consulting background, and I think they're problem solvers in nature. And they look at a customer's problem, an insurer's problem, or a carrier's problem, and says, I really am going to be with you till the end. You're not successful until you're successful. And while we bring a big portion of the solution with our software and our technology, it doesn't take them all the way to the end. There's integration. There's getting off the old system and data conversion. There's business process change that often goes with the project. And I think we always look at seeing them through to the end. And I think that comes across as we really understand their world, we understand their roles, we understand their business drivers, and how the technology has always been designed. We talk about agility, that aspect of it, because we understand the nature of their business.
But I think in terms of being insurance experts first, that know technology, from my point of view, it's because there's so much complexity in the industry, the details matter, and they matter dearly to our customers. They ask questions like, how do you do backdated out of sequence endorsements? Things that a lot of people don't understand.
I don't even know that one.
I get it. But those details matter, and we get into a detailed proof of concept. It's not only proving that we understand the industry, but it's also our ability to understand what makes a carrier unique, and then customizing Duck Creek. So not only can we support that, but we can embrace that and really magnify that so the carrier can really use that differentiation in the marketplace and leverage our software at the same time. And we think we're world class at doing that.
So what you do best, how has that gotten even better with teaming with Accenture?
Well, I think Accenture at large has brought to Duck Creek three critical things. First off, enormous scale and people. The second thing is service delivery excellence, where Duck Creek historically has been known for product and innovation. Service delivery is a very, very important element of what we do. And the third thing is just some very deep relationships with some of the most significant customers in the industry. But I think it's less about just what Accenture brought to the table, but really the uniqueness and the benefits of Accenture and Duck Creek together. And Duck Creek as a software company, very innovative, focused on software, and really very significant in the marketplace. And we really share uniquely a passion for applying technology to drive better business results in the P&C marketplace. And I think that unique combination really puts us at the forefront of the industry.
Well, and the passion that you have, it definitely shows. It's here and it's in flight. So thank you for joining. Thank you, Mike, and thank you, Matt. Join us next time when we talk to Accenture Duck Creek's Bill Bond and Mr. Michael Witt to talk about the migration to the cloud. And join us online at www.accenture.com/duckcreek for additional insights and resources. Also, join us this coming spring, April 26th through the 29th, for our annual spring event, Formation 15. To register, go online to formation15.accenture.com. Until next time, thanks for joining us.